WNST, Taos in Baltimore, and a very, very happy finale if you're a Ravens fan. Certainly not the most impressive victory, but they're all impressive. It's a National Football League. The Ravens will, as they say, move on to the Detroit Lions, but we shall linger a little longer here. This guy is the head lion over there at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, and he is our chief around here from 3 until 5 each and every Thursday doing the SSV. On WNST, we love to analyze football with Dennis Koulatsos, who also sponsors our WNST tech service. If there's any breaking news this week, you'll get that all courtesy of Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis, you and I have talked about the Ravens games after 100 different games. I don't want to say this is more important than others in any way, but this certainly opens the door for what they want to accomplish, which is play a football game in January and take their chances. I don't think they're a very good football team, but I don't think they're going to need to be.
You know what? They did enough to win. They did what they had to do. They pulled out all kinds of stops, fake punts, Joe Flacco quarterback bootleg to end the game. Look, they're competing. What people, I think, sometimes fail to keep in mind is that the other team, they're trying to win too. You got guys over there fighting for their jobs, trying to make a paycheck, trying to look good, setting themselves up for next season. Every game in the National Football League is important. Never mind style points. A win is a win. We're very happy to take it today.
Yeah, it's not college football, right? I mean, you don't need to beat them 66-3,
No.
you know, in order to go to the Bemidji Bowl or whatever. You know, it's funny you would say that because Marvin Lewis used to always say that to me. I mean, I would sit there with Marvin and I would watch film of the 96 and 97 Ravens defense, right? So you can imagine what that looked like, right? You know, the ball went over Vashon Adams' head, then it went over Stephon Moore's head, then it went, you're right. So, and he would say to me, "Don't ever forget." The other side's trying too. He would always say that to me. The other side tries too, you know?
Yeah, these are the best football players in the world. They're giving it their all. And look, anything can happen. The ball bounces funny. I saw you tweeting about the referees, their inconsistency in calls, which is really horrible. Again, a lot of times you tend to wonder, what are these guys looking at? No consistency whatsoever. That also tends to have a big impact on the outcome of the games. Much more so than we give them credit for.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when there's a fork in the road on a late hit, a non-late hit, a pass interference, and certainly the Ravens earned several of those pass interference. Dude, they're never going to see a wide receiver than that kid Hopkins. Wow, right? I mean, he was a wow kind of receiver for me, right?
Yeah, no matter which side of the field they line him up on, no matter what coverage they tried on him, he just beat double coverage. He's just a special receiver. And it's going to happen. Jimmy Smith didn't have his best night, and neither did the safeties coming over the top and try to help him out. Look, he was the biggest factor in offense and couldn't take him away, which is why the game was as close as it was.
Dennis Koulatsos joining us here. He's over at Coons Ford Security Boulevard. You can listen to his program from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. For you with Flacco and the amount of flack that he takes and where this offense is, they did run the ball a little bit, and to your point, they really were trying. There were all sorts of things from Flacco split wide to Flacco taking off on a bootleg to seal the game to, let's be honest, Sam Cook throwing passes pretty well, actually.
Yeah, Sam Cook has a great arm. And Chris Moore, what a great special teams find he's been for the last couple of years. Look, they did all they could to win. And Flacco, look, when they're going well, he's going to get too much credit, and they're not going well, he's going to get a lot of the blame. But he's better than average. He gives us our best chance to win. And I thought he had a pretty decent game overall.
Dennis, for you with the crowd and the empty seats, you know, I rarely mix church and state when it comes to this, but I think the story this week might be the Ravens at 6-5, and the story might be that they're good enough to make the playoffs, but not really good enough to win a Super Bowl. And I really did like that Joe Flacco stood in front of me and the media after the game and said, we're just not trying to make the playoffs. We want to win a Super Bowl, and if we don't do that, it won't matter around here. And to some degree, I think he's right, but to some degree, I think he's got the temperature wrong. I think this is a very, very successful season if somehow they're playing the first weekend of January. And I can't go to 30,000 fans who showed up as empty purple plastic seats on Monday night and ask every one of them why. But I am going to be researching this week. Like, why would you have tickets and not use them? How could you not find someone to give them to at all? And if no one in the community wants to take those tickets anymore, this is where we are. Dennis, I remember when the Mayflower vans rolled out of here. That's a sad state of affairs to me. This isn't, hey, do you not want to buy the tickets, right? That's a whole different thing, right? Do you want to spend the money or not? It's a whole different thing. The money's spent. The tickets are paid for. Now you don't want to come downtown and use the tickets. And if it's, I might get mugged, I might get shot, I might get carjacked. I mean, I guess I'll hear all that. I've lived in the city for 15 years. And thankfully, knock on wood, nothing like that's happened. But I think there are 30,000 different reasons to not come to the game on Monday night. I just don't understand most of them in the case of the seats were purchased and no one is willing to use them.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nestor. Of course, you were at the stadium, so you were able to see from your vantage point how many empty seats. You couldn't tell on TV. Pre-game you could. It was empty with 30 minutes to kickoff. It looked like there was nobody in that stadium. They were doing interviews, and I was just scratching my head. So where are all the people at? So it was hard for us to gauge at home exactly how many people were at M&T Bank Stadium.
Well, and I guess reasons people don't go. This is going to be a major story around here for me, and I think for the Ravens themselves to research, like, what's going on. We're playing for a playoff berth around here. Is that where the temperature for football is in Baltimore right now?
Yeah, it's look. Everybody's got different reasons. I didn't go. I've got to get up at 4:30 in the morning and got a job to do, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. If you got to work, it's a tough night, whether it's a Thursday night or a Monday night or a Sunday night. For the working man, it's a tough ticket, especially as we get older. Back in our 20s and 30s and 40s, a little easier. You get up to your 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I think that's part of the issue too, Nestor. It's an aging fan base. Those seats are owned by about 10 to 12,000 people, and those people have had them for close to 20 years, or if not more. Some of us, like myself, since day one, and I gave my tickets away. I was more than happy to do so, but I just can't. I just cannot stay up. I barely could stay up to watch the game on TV at home.
It is interesting you'd say that because around me, my friends say we hate the night games because we got to get up and work in the morning. And, I should tell you, I work halfway through the night and then get up early in the morning and work as well. So, I mean, I guess I do sort of feel it, to that degree. I certainly do, 15 hours after the game, after I've done 10 hours of radio. But I don't look at them on the schedule and say, well, I don't want to go over to the game. But I live downtown, so look, when I live 8 blocks away. So it's a different argument for me than if I lived in Hampstead or if I lived in Bel Air or if I lived in, Pasadena or wherever it would be to say I have to get in the car and go do it. But there is something about that needs to be talked about because this is not a good circumstance for the Ravens and for the future.
Well, yeah, when you have 30,000 people missing from the stadium, of course, there go your beer sales, the food, the concessions are going to be light. So they're going to be missing revenues, even though those tickets are paid for. When you don't have a fan base there, and again, it also takes away the advantage of the 12th man, which is not unusual unless you're packing them in like Philadelphia these days because they have a good product on the field. It's a tough ticket, Nestor, and they should really, not just in Baltimore, but all around the league. Every time we watch a game, you see a ton of empty seats no matter what the stadium, with very, very few exceptions.
Dennis Koulatsos joining us here. He's over Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. You can go visit him now for the holidays and, of course, sponsoring our WNST text service. If there's any breaking news around here this week, you will get it first via our Coons Ford text service. All right, last thing for you, Den. Defensively, they keep doing things, right? Whether it's down and distance, whether it's getting after the quarterback. But what Suggs is doing, and I think Luke and I went on for a good 15 minutes about Suggs. You do know he's probably my least favorite Baltimore athlete. Not of all time, but he's on the top 10 list, okay? As far as guys being around. I've never been a fan of the antics. I've never been a fan of the WWE thing. I am a fan when he gets after the quarterback. But I was tweeting all night, and I know you follow me on Twitter, about his Hall of Fame credentials because 5, 6, 7 years from now, that might be my job, picking the Hall of Famer from Baltimore. I'm certainly next in line to do it, to be honest, after covering the team for 23 years and writing books and founding radio stations and all that. And if it were to come to me, I can be a pretty punitive guy. I can be small. I can be shallow. I can be, I can dig down with the next guy. But I don't know if I had to get up in front of 50 Hall of Fame voters and make the case for Terrell Suggs. I'd have to make a hard case to not vote for him, and I would probably bust the tape out from Monday night. I mean, I really thought this game, I don't want to say solidified him as a Hall of Famer, but I think it adds a dimension to his candidacy that is undeniable at this point in his life, and his ability to wreak havoc with an offense in a way that he hasn't the last 4 years. He hasn't been a dominant player in a long time. This year, he looks like a dominant player. That's really hard to do with 35 in this league.
Yeah, he looked like he was 25, the way he was playing, Nestor, the way he was running, the way he can play both the run and the pass is really rare. That dual threat, to me, solidifies his place in the Hall of Fame based on his body of work, the sacks, the tackles, the intellect base of the defense, the film study, know what's coming next. All that, to me, his body of work screams Hall of Fame for sure. And look, Monday night was a sterling example of that. He was fast off the edge. He was anticipating the snap count. He was disruptive. He was in all phases of the game. Just a wonderful, wonderful player.
Did you think that in August? If he would have walked away after last year at the end of the season, would you have said yes? He's a Hall? I would not have. And much like Steve Smith, I think when Steve Smith walked away from Carolina, had he not played in Baltimore at all and done the things he did at the end and the injury, I think Steve Smith made himself a Hall of Famer being here. Certainly helped his case. And I think Terrell Suggs this year is completely solidifying that because the Hall of Fame is a longevity issue. It's not just a stats thing. It's a where were you at the beginning, where were you at the end.
Yeah, no question about it, Nestor. I think Terrell Suggs spent the offseason here in Baltimore for the first time in his career. He worked out on one winning drive at the Castle, and that made all the difference in the world for him, I think. He just really committed to – he even looked in training camp. He looked leaner and meaner than he's had in a long, long time. So he passed the eyeball test early on, and he has translated into a wonderful body of work on the field thus far. This late in the season for him to be doing what he's doing at his age, it's just simply amazing.
He is Dennis Koulatsos. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, getting you ready for the Detroit Lions. All right, Dennis, I'm asking this question of everyone right now this week. They're going to make the playoffs, yes or no? Have you cleared that first weekend of January for Ravens viewing?
Yes, I have. I think, look, they're finding ways to win no matter the opponent. Every game is huge in the NFL. Lots of teams are piled up. Anything can happen, but based on their schedule, their strength of schedule, the amount of home games and how they finish, I don't see any reason why the Ravens can't be in the playoffs in the first round.
Rest up. We will see you on Thursday from 3 until 5 with the SSV on WNST. Stay warm out there, Den. We're going to make the playoffs.
You got it, Doc. I'm all in. Love to hear that.
You see you soon. Dennis Koulatsos joining us from Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Reminder that all WNST programming here brought to you by our friends at Freedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. You need Freedmont Mortgage and Freedmont.com. Carl Delmont, of course, got a couple home games for the Harrisburg Heat this week. And you can find anything and everything for me out online. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. I'm everywhere you are, including streaming on our Facebook Live and our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.